All right, welcome to King Speak. I'm Percy King. On this episode, what we're going to talk about is the current administration's cuts to NOAA, which means cuts to the National Weather Service. Now, storms are going to come to Florida and to the United States this year. It was predicted to be a really active hurricane season, so that's just going to happen. Now, last year we had several storms that come through Florida, two that came through Tampa, including one that destroyed the roof and put water in the walls of my place and caused me to have to move. So a lot of people were harmed by one of the two storms this past year in Tampa area. The insurance industry has been pretty bad. They've been leaving and costs are going up, and we're basically one really big storm away from losing most of our insurers. And now that they're messing with FEMA, there's going to be some issues. So let's talk about those issues. Now, the immediate impact of FEMA not being around the way that it has been, or not being around at all, is that, first is going to delay a lot of things for people. Okay, search and rescue, evacuation, shelter operations, and debris removal. All that's going to fall to the state and local governments. Infrastructure restoration, power, water, all this stuff's going to be delayed. Now, Florida has an emergency management division, but it relies heavily on FEMA grants, equipment, and staff. Now, Florida also has Florida's Catastrophic Storm Risk Management Fund, called a CAT Fund. However, it is limited to primarily supporting insurers, not emergency logistics. The state could issue some bonds, but that still takes time. They also could, ask for emergency legislative action, but that still takes time. Now, with, the cuts to NOAA and the National Weather Service, now they're talking about next year's budget cutting up to 40%. We can't afford that. They actually need more money. All right. Now, all this works together to, make the forecast more accurate. That's going to decline. Real-time radar and satellite tracking is not going to be the same. A lot of us were able to get out because we could see the storm coming, and they have been pretty damn accurate. I mean, we are really thankful of that. However, if they're not going to have the type of money to do what they need to do, people are going to die. Not only are people going to die, people aren't going to know to board up. They're not going to know that the storm is going to hit, and there's going to be much more destruction. Now, also with that more destruction is going to come many more issues, because everybody doesn't have the correct amount of storm coverage, and even people who do have it, they now, with the way that the insurance industry is, they're experiencing being, denied coverage, and they're also, getting lowballed when it comes to, the amount of money that the insurance company wants to give you. You'll have $150,000 in damage, and then they'll offer you $10,000, and then now you have to get a lawyer, but you have to pay us, because we used to in Florida up until about a year and a half ago, well, actually 2 years ago, we had it where as long as the insurance company ended up paying you any amount more than they originally offered, they had to pay your attorney's fees. So as an attorney, we took the case on a contingency basis, so you didn't have to pay us, because the insurance company is going to pay us once we got you some money. That's no longer the case. There's no more attorney's fees, not in Florida. So what that means is that you have to pay us hourly, and a lot of people can't afford to do that. So that's why insurance companies now can give you a low ball or even deny coverage and look at you because you can't afford to hire anybody. Or even if you can afford to hire somebody, it's going to cost you X amount of money. So then they're going to think about how much it will cost you and what they really need to offer you in order to, allow you to, think about it and accept it. Now, the homeowners insurance industry is going to face a crisis as well, because there's going to be a lot of people who are uninsured and underinsured. Contractors going to be scarce, and there's going to be price gouging because there aren't going to be as many contractors to keep the prices down. There's going to be a lot more mold. And also FEMA played a big role in the uninsured and underinsured by helping them out with the grants and aid for at least some type of repairs. Like I said, our insurance market is already really damn fragile. Without having FEMA around to actually help, it's going to be crazy. Now, the long-term economic and social effects, homelessness is going to rise. Property values will actually decline for the first real time in Florida if you have it so that the insurance cost so much, and you have so many storms, and you do not have the adequate warning, and you do not have adequate coverage, property values will either decrease, or at the very least they'll stop going up. Economy is going to change, tourism is going to change, because if people can't even afford to rebuild, what's going to happen? Mental health crisis, because people are going to be so depressed, because they don't have a place to live, or all these things are going on, and everything is blithe because people can't afford to rebuild. You can afford to rebuild, but your neighbors can't. So you have these broken down houses next to you. It's just going to be bad. And because of that, we need to really look at this thing and, talk to our folks in Congress. You need to talk to the president if you can get to him. People need to hold meetings. So therefore, we can look at this and let them know that they need to not mess with FEMA the way that they're thinking about doing it. This is pretty bad. I'm just hoping that we don't have a storm to show them how bad this is going to be. But something tells me, with this storm system being forecast to be extremely active, it's going to be bad, and we're going to see what happens. So until next time, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share this. Talk to you soon.